Actually, it's Norman Koshnick here from Eyes on Cricket with Norman Koshnick. Chris and I have been talking for about 5 minutes. We're sorry people think we're late, but we're not. We're actually waiting for other guests to join us. We were here well and truly on time. We had a good natter. Music Harmony says, looks like Norman and Co are running late again. I beg your pardon.
We are never late, Music Harmony. I'm always on time.
I might hit that. Where's that delete button for Music Harmony again? Bang.
Yeah, especially he's not telling us his name. Mystery Man Music.
He's the mystery man with Freddie Mercury. And we've got our regulars there, Munchie and Manu John. Who else we got? Dreamer, I think, regular. Yep.
Not Manu John. I had enough of him yesterday. He's it's like me getting hung up to dry in the press with Manu John sat here.
So we're expecting Adam Hollyoake, or Smokey as he's nicknamed. Actually, do you know why he's called Smokey?
No, but I know that he's been called Smokey for a long time.
Right. Well, just to let you all know, it's obviously in India, it's about 1:34 or so, 1:35. It's some 7 p.m. here in Australia, and it's some 8 a.m. where Chris is. Last night's effort, which wasn't last night for me, it was actually this morning, was 3:30 in the morning. It started. And yes, that's the predicament we're in, which we're happy with. It's very good. Of course, just before we start about the obvious India versus England match, which is about to start with Rohit Sharma 57 not out. Not a bad way to start a morning's play.
So I think if you actually watch it, because I couldn't remember it because it was 4 a.m, that what your comment takes into context when you say, if I keep predicting it, eventually I'm going to get it right, which is my point all along.
No, hang on. So, that doesn't excuse your efforts there.
I laughed because that's what the prediction you'd made in the first test every single day. That was my laugh, not that your prediction was ridiculous, because it wasn't. It was
But yours wasn't your head turn wasn't like an eyes rolling. It was actually it was a disdainful laugh.
So funny, because your prediction eventually you're going to get it right. It's like you predicting Ashwin will get a 5 for. He's going to get it eventually, isn't he? Because he's a very fine player.
No, I mean, but you said it'd take him 12 innings to get the same score. Well, that was like a balderdash, poppycock.
It would take him 12 innings in England to get 160. That's for sure.
Well, let's find some words for rubbish. Balderdash, poppycock.
Piffle.
Huh?
Balderdash and Piffle. That was the name of a show, I think.
These are all new terms. I've never heard of them.
I would say codswallop. So I would say that they are aristocrat, sort of posh English terms, probably like Shakespeare's made up or something. You know, those sort of words. There's words in that the Indian language or the Americans or the Australians have never heard, and hence why they love the English language. So.
Well, let's be honest, it's all English. Let's not forget. It used to annoy me.
Words like that would be
But when I was in Germany, I was actually teaching English in my very younger days, and they would say, "No, Norman, we want to learn American." I said, "No, you're learning English. There's no language called American. It is English. Whether it's an American speaking or an Australian speaking, it's English. The same with German. An Austrian speaks German. They don't like that, but it's German." Anyway, and the Swiss, they speak many languages, but they speak
French too.
Yeah, but
a lot of the English words like that would be Shakespeare. I think he's responsible for nearly 3,000 words in the English language or something. Shakespeare, or like if you look into it, it's like everyday words as well. It's not like the cool words like balderdash or stuff like that. There's words that we would use 10 times today that Shakespeare is credited for. So interesting. Yeah, well, only when you're talking, Norman.
But okay, just on that, what I find interesting is that, sporting terms in both baseball and cricket,
very similar.
Innings, outs, runs.
The ballpark.
It's because the Americans couldn't come up with their own names.
Well, it wasn't.
Well, they have terms in other sports, but for some reason, I think because baseball is loosely modeled over cricket or on cricket.
Well,
a lot of the terms are the same, and they have batter as well, or I don't think they use batsmen, but they use batter, I think.
The cricket used batsman, which has now really become batter because of the gender neutral nature of it. But the game of cricket and even baseball came from a game called rounders. That's where it originally came from. That was the original game that was played. And even Seven Oaks Vine has got their name mentioned somewhere along there. And then we found out that the third stump, the middle stump, came from Seven Oaks Vine, apparently. All right, we've talked enough gibberish or
history. We're here to provide an all-round service these days, Norman. You know,
that's true.
Why not?
So Australia, okay, just
Preeti and I are educated and well informed. I know you're Australian, so you're not, but we are, so we can provide an all-round.
I beg your pardon. I beg to differ. Okay, the reality is that Australia have been beaten again by New Zealand. There was a lot of talk about being a close game, and Australia nobly tried to run down with Sionis, and I think it was Daniel Sams getting close. The fact is they lost again, so they can colour it whatever way they like. The one player out of the Australian team which I really think is going to star in the future and should be playing Test cricket is Daniel Sams. He's also a Randwick Petersham product, and he's a mate of mine, so I'm a bit biased.
Wow.
But he is, well, he took early wickets yet again, and he batted very well. So he's such a nice guy too.
Early wicket, Norman. I'm looking at the scorecard now. He got 1 for 46 or 4 overs, and he got Martin Guptill out, who got 97 in the 15th over.
Hang on a minute. Did you see his previous match? He took 2 wickets.
You just said he got an early wicket. He got it in the 15th over when the opener had 90.
That's early in the scheme of things. I mean, maybe 20 overs. I mean,
it's only in a 50-over game.
It's early-ish, 15 out of 20, early-ish. Okay.
He got a wicket.
I've got some exciting news, by the way. Pretty, you'll be interested to hear this. I got a text message from Mervyn Richards a short while ago. Tomorrow morning in my time, there's a special. It's like it's called the Antiguan. Let me have a look at it. I'll have a look at it. It's actually extremely interesting because it's a gathering in Antigua of a lot of the ex-players. They all went through this particular so-called competition, and it's quite exciting actually. It's I'll get it a bit later. It's a tournament that they have, and they're going to have a gathering, and Merv's the guest of honour. But in future weeks, well, Sir Richie Richardson's there, obviously. Yes. Gertley Ambrose, Sir Gertley Ambrose, Sir Vivian Richards, they're all sirs. They're all a part of this. So I'm going to be joining in on it. I don't know quite what that means, but we'll see. And I'm excited, very excited. So that's something to look forward to. And hope I may be able to go live tomorrow. I don't know, or at least not tomorrow morning, but next week I will, because Viv will be involved. So
interesting.
So
by the way, speaking of the Australian New Zealand is the most underrated, underappreciated team, I think, in the history of cricket. These guys are so amazing. They've been in so many finals that they've lost, and they are just consistently they perform. They do well. They don't have ego. They don't have attitude. They're wonderful blokes. You know, such talent, both bowling, batting, fielding. They're just such nice guys as well. And I just feel for them. And someone was saying that average Australian players get rated higher than very good Kiwi players, which is very true. You know,
it's quite incredible for their. And it's, you know, India probably. You can understand why India have such a good side if you're going purely on population numbers. You know, it's amazing how countries like America or China or Russia, you know, as soon as they catch on, there's no reason why they couldn't be a force in any sport. But I think New Zealand have a population of like 5 million or something.
5 million, and
they've got the best rugby team in the world. I mean, England, we're quite a small country, and our population's 70 million. And you know, considering our size compared to some,
70 million is not small. Where did you get that?
I mean, in terms of countries in the world, with Bangladesh,
but
India.
Australia is only 25. Australia is a tiny nation and such a great. One of the greatest sporting nations on the planet. Like, you know, Olympics, this tiny country of 25, actually 2000 Olympics, we were 20 million. I mean, we were in the top 4, you know.
And
we should be so proud of that.
I was the language services manager for the organizing committee for the Olympic Games. I was in charge of languages. Well, not completely. Wow. I had a section of languages. The main stadium, the Superdome, which had basketball and gymnastics and all the athletics. I was it. I I was responsible for languages. I was a very privileged thing.
I still think the 2000 Olympics was the best Olympics. Everyone still
By
says that.
far.
By far.
Better
This
than
is
that
20
bloody
years ago.
You get
London one,
a
that
lot of
London
disagreement in this country just
No,
because London
honestly,
2012
that's
was
a fair.
a good one.
No,
But
there was nothing
on a
like
bias
it.
way, yeah. On a
You know,
bias
I'm
for England.
definitely not the Greek one, and
Are
no,
you going to try and say the London
and
Olympics
definitely
is
not
better?
Rio.
Oh, my
Hell no.
God.
Yeah,
No.
only because of the bias that we did well, and I think London was seen as a successful one. So they're always going to have a slight bias.
Sydney was super successful, and I remember that I guess the IOC director, whatnot, and
Antonio Samaranch.
he said it. He's like, this is the best Olympics in the history, and I just
I'm
think
afraid-
the Australian spirit, bringing the
I
world
wasn't old.
together.
I wasn't old enough in 2000. I'm afraid I was only 8, so I was still throwing tennis balls around in the garden in my underwear, probably.
What does that matter whether you were playing tennis balls in the garden? So what does
You're
that do with being the
irrelevant
best
to the
Olympics?
situation, Chris. It's not everything is about you. The
Absolute
Olympics
garbage.
is not about you.
Oh, because
It's
Chris
about
was
the
in
world,
the backyard playing
actually.
tennis ball. It wasn't.
No, I'm saying I can't
Where's the logic in that?
I can't offer an opinion on the 2000 games, so I can't. I wasn't
Very
able
easy.
to watch it. So.
You click on Olympics on YouTube. You go Sydney 2000. Bang, up she comes.
It's certainly probably the most impressive city in the world, isn't it? It's an iconic venue as much as more than most places.
The actual opening ceremonies when Kathy Freeman secretively brought that torch up was magnificent.
I love her. She's spectacular. So, Chris, have you been to Sydney?
I haven't been to Sydney. No, I've been to Perth. I had 2 winters in Perth playing.
Have you been to Melbourne or?
I didn't get across.
Queensland,
no, I never made. I mean, I flew into Brisbane on my way to New Zealand, so I haven't been there. No, so it's a good excuse to go back. Hopefully, when this goes well and Norman's earning the big bucks, he'll be flying us all over there for the Ashes this winter.
Look, I've been to 100 countries, and I can tell you that the most beautiful city on the planet by a long shot is Sydney, and it happens to be my hometown. I'm a very proud Sydney sider. No matter where I live in the world, I live here in Hollywood, Hills. It doesn't even. It's like that. There's nothing like Sydney. Like the Rocks, Circular Quay, the bridge. Nothing like it. It's picture perfect.
Okay, I'm gonna bore Pretty another day with a full West Indian story that I've got to say, which is very interesting. Viewers, if you want to hear an amazing story, you'll hear my story. I'm not trying to brag, but it was an amazing set of weeks which I spent there, who I met, where I met them, the whole thing was amazing. But I'll just quickly tell you about the Sydney Olympics. Now, I was the language services manager of the main stadium. On the night that Kathy Freeman won the 400 metres, right, I had a corporate suite, West Side, perfect view. It was a great night. I meant to have a hotel room in the hotel called the Novotel attached to the stadium.
Yes.
And I didn't stay there. I decided to go home. And I was with a very, very good friend of mine, Jim Angelis. Jim Angelis and I found out later his partner that were with us, but I'd forgotten they were with us, by the way. That's how crazy it was. So Jim and I got on the train. Kathy Freeman had just won the race, right? Or that night. So we were partying on the whole of Australia was buoyant. I looked at the bottom. There was 2 carriages, the bottom carriage. There were young Aboriginal boys down there and a lady called Mary Anthony. I saw them and I thought, hey, Jim, you know who that is? That's the Kathy Freeman brothers, Garth, Gavin, and wait for it, Norman. Oh. So actually, Kathy Freeman's brother, it's called Garth, Gavin, and Norman Freeman. So I saw them down there because they were all over the television set screens. They were panning to them during the event, all the emotion. They were absolutely sober. And after the races, Kathy Freeman was in a conference and she said, I'm so proud of my family, got to see me, etc. But even more so, my brothers, they were totally sober and they enjoyed the event. Anyway, that was the backdrop. So I'm in the bottom of the carriage. I see Garth, Gavin, and Norman. I introduced myself. We had a chat. They had a lady who was a personal assistant called Mary Anthony there. So we're in the train and I'm going, where are you guys going now? Your sisters won the gold medal. Isn't it amazing? Oh, we're going home to our billeted accommodation. I said, no. You can't go home. You're coming out with us. We're going to celebrate for the rest of the morning at some pub somewhere and have a big celebratory drink. So I brought those 3 guys with a bunch of other people. We went to a place called the Chamberlain, started drinking. We went to a place which is very famous in Sydney called the Bourbon and Beefsteak, which I'm sure you've heard of. Okay, in King's Cross.
Yeah.
And the whole time they had big screens with replays of Kathy Freeman winning, and there's Garth and Gavin and Norman with me, looking up and they're seeing themselves on the screen. Their sister up there, and it was so surreal, right? They got extremely tipsy. In fact, they got pretty drunk.
But these were little boys, right? Were they like underage?
No. They're adults.
Oh, okay. Seemed like they were little boys.
No, they're adults. No, totally above 18. They're adults. In fact, I think Garth was the eldest, and there was Gavin, and then Norman was about mid-20s. So the three of them with me, and they were getting rolling drunk. Mary Anthony left, and it's now about 7:30 in the morning after the most of the night with his drinking. I said, guys, I've got to go back and work at the location. I can't stay with anymore. So I gave them some money because they were a bit short of cash. I gave them some money. They continued drinking. That's the last I saw them, 7:30 in the morning. By about 4 p.m. that afternoon, Mary Anthony, who got my number, the personal assistant to Kathy Freeman, rings me and says, where are the boys? I said, I don't know. Last time I saw them was 7:30 in the morning. So she was a bit worried. They continued to drink all day. Anyway, that night was the next set of events. I get a walkie-talkie message from the front gate saying, Norman, there are 3 guys here. They want to come upstairs. I'm going, who are they? And they were the 3 guys. They'd lost their tickets. In fact, I think they sold their tickets. They then came to the side gates, and I got them into the Olympic Stadium, up to my corporate suite. And the first thing they said was, where are we going tonight? That was hilarious. Anyway, I got to know them very well.
What a story.
But then after the Paralympics, about a month later, I was at the Sheraton on the Park in Sydney with my future wife. I wasn't married yet, my future wife. We were there having a coffee. In comes Kathy Freeman with Mary Anthony, this personal assistant, and an entourage of people. And I see Mary Anthony. I go, oh, Mary Anthony. And she goes, oh, hi, Norman. Kathy Freeman turns around and goes, so you're Norman, come over here. And she's dragged me over there, and she said, she's really happy. She said, thank you so much for taking care of my 3 brothers. They couldn't stop talking about what you did for them, blah, blah, blah. And I then on occasions, and that was a great night. It was a great time with her. She gave me autographs and everything. It was really, really exciting. And then later on, maybe every so many months, I get random calls from Norman, from Garth and Gavin saying, hey, we're down from where they were from, up in Queensland. They were from a town, I can't remember the town now. They're from a town up there and near Rockhampton, somewhere there. And they would say, hey, Norm, we're in town. You want to go out? They never forgot me, and they always used to ring me, which was really quite special. The only sad thing is Norman Freeman, a few years later, was killed in a car accident.
Oh,
his partner was driving, and he was in the passenger seat, and a low-level ute, the flat tops, smashed into him, and he was killed. So that was a very, very sad situation. But can you believe that story? What an amazing story to be able to come across those guys at night when their sister won. Anyway, I probably bored you all, but that was...
No, that was great. It's a great memory for sure. And she's
Did you like that, Chris?
No, I could sit here all day and listen to, stories about, any stories about anything really. I find them fascinating. About Olympics, about football, about cricket, about Beverly Hill, anything like that. I think is ultimately who we are is a sum of our stories, really, isn't it? That's what we look back on. That's what we are. So,
but I'll tell you now, Chris,
it means we're not talking about the test match, so it's perfect.
We should get. Well, are we waiting for people?
No, it's okay.
We haven't had Manu John or Music Harmony or FS moaning in the chat yet, which they usually do when we don't talk about cricket. So they're fine if they're happy listening.
My story, obviously. Normally, you've been to Berlin. Of course, I lived in Germany. I lived in Munich for 5 years.
Great
so
city.
Berlin, I certainly have been to. But just quickly, the point is, I'm only going to give you a tidbit. The West Indies, 11 years ago, my story, how I met Mervyn Richards, and the whole story will be panned out. It is phenomenal.
Yes.
Even for humble Norman here, what happened to me, I could not have planned in a squillion years. The people I met, the way it happened. Chris, okay, Pretty, you and I are going to do that story tomorrow.
We're going to do that a spectacular interview, and I can't wait to see what sort of stories you have. I'm sure there'll be. Are they scandalous?
Not necessarily scandalous, just amazing. The term I use is happenstance.
I love that. That's great. That's what life is about.
I could not have planned it any better. And I'll talk about that, and then we'll get to meet those people because Merv's going to roll them all out.
We're going there. I know this.
We're also going to go there. All right. Now, so again, New Zealand won. They say just, but they were charged most of the game. Australia came back quite strongly, but they didn't win. Simple. New Zealand were.
I think they've got to be favourites. I think the World Test Championship is is a good idea. I think it needs tweaking, purely because England have played something like 17 tests in it, and New Zealand have played 9. So I'm not saying New Zealand don't deserve, but India have only played 12, and Australia have played 10 as well. So you've got to have the same. It's difficult to judge India not being there when they've played 6 more tests, which might be a series in England and a series in New Zealand, whereas New Zealand have played 3 home series only. Like, it's a difficult.
We've got to start somewhere. I mean, they started the West Indies smashing everybody in the World Cup back in '75, so it's bound.
They've got to be favourites, assuming England don't make it to Lords, which would,
assuming India doesn't make it.
I think even if Australia or England or India make it, New Zealand with their bowling attack in England would be favourites, and
absolutely,
just because the batting, is more used to those conditions. India's seam attack is very similar to theirs. It's just the difference in batting on those wickets in those overhead conditions would have to make New Zealand or Australia favourite if India play there. If that makes sense.
Well, let's be honest. New Zealand's got obviously Southey bowled, incredible pairing.
James and
Wagner, and Alex Santner's not bowling badly. He got a few wickets in this particular match, and so Sodhi, they've got a pretty good bowling lineup, actually.
Yeah, Santner's one of those good bowlers, similar to a typical English spinner. They're good in those conditions. Santner's never going to win you many tests in India because he's not a big turner.
No.
But like Washington Sundar did it in Australia when he played. He's that containing bowler in those conditions where he can just tie and end up and let the seamers take. So, those 4 seamers in English conditions or New Zealand conditions are going to be a handful for anyone. So,
with Williamson and Ross Taylor, I rate very highly. I think he's
he's coming towards the end, isn't he? He's
still getting runs.
Yeah, but I mean, he's 36 now, isn't he? 35, 36. He's not. Yeah. These guys don't go on for many years after that. So maybe that might be his final calling.
You never know. Okay, Ahmed Dangwal has actually made a comment that Norman was in Berlin for Oktoberfest. Let me clarify a few things. The Oktoberfest is specifically
in Munich.
München.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not actually in October. It's in September. It ends the first few days of October.
Yes.
Having spent 5 years in Munich, I know too much about the Oktoberfest. And the term for it in German is Auf der Wiesen. Auf der Wiesen.
Yes.
I'm prosing,
yeah.
So
my Oktoberfest adventures, let's say, I was the only sober person in that entire, God knows how many hundreds of thousands of people there were, because this was a few years ago and I was not drinking. I had not had a drink in over 10 years at that point. So I was completely sober, and I've been there several times, and it was still the best party on the planet. I was drinking apple juice, and everybody was hammered, and I had just as much fun as they did.
As they say, apple juice is apfel soft. Okay, now there is another festival in Germany called the Märzfest, which is in March, which I would argue is more potent, and it's usually just only Germans go there, and it's closed off, and the alcohol there is to die for. It's potent, very potent.
And also, don't forget Christmas market, Chris
Kendall Market.
Yes, beautiful, yeah.
Having spent 5 years there, living every day, I basically know pretty well. All right, now let's go to today's match. We've got how much time we've got? We've got half an hour to go, which is good. And I'm not going to do a thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening Galileo. I'm not going to do that today. That was funny when Adam said that. Was very funny. I laughed my head off.
Okay. The fact that you're comparing yourself to Freddie Mercury, and I don't even know what sense, looks, talent, voice,
talent maybe goes without saying, but I mean,
there's every chance that Freddie Mercury had better cricket insight as well. So it's I'm not really sure.
You think so, do you?
Maybe. He liked Rohit Sharma as well. So
pretty, just you and me, don't. Actually, I know what I'm going to put there. That's
You're
better.
so cute. Oh, you moved it. You moved it. Okay. I should be in the middle, right? Why am I?
I was up at midnight. I was up at midnight strengthening Preeti's claim to some American guy saying that cricket's not a big sport. I attached a
I
screenshot
know
and a
these
link to an
people are
article.
so ignorant, right? Someone said that cricket is the biggest sport in the world that no American knows about. You know,
It's huge.
that's their lot.
But you know, football obviously is the biggest, and
Hang on.
obviously
Hang
so.
Not by
Pretty-
much more.
I'm just whispering in your ear. Put your ear close to mine. Other side. So don't. Chris, would you stop listening? The fact is, you know, Chris is just jealous. That's what it comes down. He's just jealous. I'm not sure what about.
No, he
I
was backing me up. He was supporting me. Yeah, we were on the same team. We were trying to, prove to these ignorant Americans how huge cricket is globally. Hello.
I think the Americans, because they have a World Series, which is ridiculous. How you can have
Which
a
is only
World Series, so only one country competes.
We're going to get bagged in by some of the American viewers. Be careful. Now, just quickly, there's no doubt that cricket is a huge sport in the world, but purely because of the amount of Indians, Pakistanis, Sri Lankans, Bangladeshis, South Africans, West Indians that are in other countries, and Australians, New Zealanders that are, and English for that matter as well. They're all over the world. And in Germany, in Munich, there's a garden called Englischer Garden, and they played cricket there. And I was gobsmacked. I walked past, everyone's in whites. And a mate of mine, I've forgotten his name, he looked like Boris Becker. His mum used to run Wimbledon's champagne, what are they called? Something in cream. What's the strawberries and cream? No, she used to run all the stalls. And anyway, she was quite connected. It was great. All right. So I don't think Australia's got a hope in hell of making the World Test Champions. I think India's going to go through. They're going to win definitely by tomorrow evening, depending on how much they want to bat.
There's a tiny chance Australia might squeeze in. You never know. If the heavens open up, you know.
Well, you know, I think
they're a lucky team. It's a very lucky country. Good things happen to Australia always.
England have got a chance in the last test. You know, there's a chance. You know, that considering no one gave them a chance for the first test. You know, they've showed that they can win games in those conditions, which most sides haven't. They've got players that can do it. So, and you know, if they are 2-1 down, they might go out with that carefree attitude. And you know, the one thing India won't be doing is writing them off or going.
Yeah, they're smart enough. They're a wise, sober team.
Yeah.
So, but hang on. Are you saying that if India win this, which they look like they will, and be up 2-1, then England bounce back in the last test and let's say win that? That's 2-2. Neither of them get in.
Yeah, but I don't think
England. That's not a good result for us. Yeah.
Yeah, but England won't. I don't think England are thinking about the World Test Championship at all. I don't think they're going to go in thinking we'll lose this test so the Aussies don't get there. They'll be thinking we want to win this for our own development, for our own. England would see a draw in India over 4 tests as a better result than making the World Test Championship finals, in my opinion. Without a doubt.
If we see Monty Panesar playing in the 4th test, there might be something up.
No, England won't be thinking about that World Test Championship at all. They'll be concentrating on trying to win. They'll see winning 2 tests in a series in India is a bigger thing than making the World Test Championship final, without a doubt.
Yep. All right. So I'm doing a piece after this, by the way. I'm going to do a piece to camera, as they say, PTC.
Nice.
I mean, just talking about the Australia and New Zealand. A la my days with extra time, which I used to love. I used to go through wicket by wicket, ball by ball. It was my favourite thing to do. All right, let's go back to this match. Rohit Sharma, 57 not out. Who would have thought?
Everyone. I mean, come on, he's expected. He's been consistent.
I tell you what, Rohit Sharma, if he keeps this form up, I know it's in India. His batting average is 80 odd there.
He plays pretty well anywhere in the world, I think.
Yeah. If he gets a century today, well, that's going to really.
He plays well at home, bro. Here, I think he's an awesome player.
It doesn't matter where you play well. You play well.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
I just love his shot making. Just to watch him, I've never seen a more confident. One thing, I've never seen a more detached player in my life. Right? Whether he wins or loses, he's he just is, you know, and maybe that's why he does so well. He's just in the present moment. It's
great
beautiful.
Great fielder. Takes fantastic catches. A la Mark Waugh, actually. That second slip catch he took was very calm and composed. All right. So who's Rohit Sharma bat with? He's
he's
in
got
with
a
Rahane.
yeah, Rahane. I think it might be a few wickets this morning. I don't know. I think for the good of the game, England have to pull out. If you're looking as a cricket neutral or someone who just likes their cricket, which a lot of Indian fans, I've seen comments. A lot of Indian
want to see
fans
a
saying
good
they
game.
hope England put up a fight. So I don't know if that first half hour, if the guys get through it, it could be a long day in the dirt for England. So Rohit's fine. He'll go down as a one-day great for India, won't he? I think the disparity in his Test match stats are huge, which probably means that he won't ever be considered a Kohli or a Tendulkar or a Dravid purely for those reasons. But I mean, he's a fine player.
But I'll tell you what, he's glorified with his Mumbai innings results.
IPL, T20, and one day, and I mean,
probably the best ever. I'd say he's arguably better than Tendulkar, just in terms of not in terms of stats yet, but in terms of performances and consistency and who he is.
Shot making and style, I guess.
What did he get in the ODIs? 250. Can you imagine in 50 overs, and he bats, let's say, virtually half the balls, which makes it 25 overs. Okay, he scored 250. That means he averaged 10 and over off his bat.
Yeah.
When 10 overs, 10 runs off his bat when he faced, which is quite staggering when you think about it.
I think he has the largest disparity in average between home and away. I think Marnus Labuschagne is quite high as well.
Marnus, is he playing? He must be playing for. Is he playing for Zimbabwe? Is that?
Well, possibly. He was born somewhere like that.
Marnus Labuschagne.
Yeah, Sharma's difference is 62 between home average and away average, which, I think Marnus Labuschagne, currently lies second, averages 85 in Australia and 40 away, difference of 46. So, 62 is the biggest disparity between home and away average.
Do you really think a batsman's going to worry about where they get their runs? Because it comes down to their overall total in the end.
I think they do. I think Sharma will be disappointed that he's played more Test cricket away from home, and he averages mid-20s, and that's probably why he might not play in England. Why he's not done so well. I think you'd be surprised. I think that they do look at stuff like that. Joe Root the whole time never scores runs in India. James Anderson never takes wickets in Australia. It's what statisticians and people talk about. The comments: Stuart Broad doesn't take wickets in India. That's what people talk about. So to be considered
but everyone has places where they play well. I mean, you could say that with almost any player. I can tell you right now, Rohit Sharma is not disappointed at all with his entire career. He's going to go down.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Legend,
I think that in his head he'll be thinking, "Geez, if I can go and score 300s in a series in England, that puts a few doubters to bed."
I don't think so, because he's done that in other places, and the guy is like a machine, But also, I mean, this is a very, very popular person, very funny, good sense of humor, just very much in the social sort of sphere, I like him. He's not introverted and insular. He's very much part of the.
We said the word
public
sphere at the same
conversation.
time. We said the word sphere at the same time, by the way.
That's true.
I said, now, Zak, can you explain to me how his name's spelled Z-A-K? What is he, from Yugoslavia or something? That's an unusual spelling of Zak.
No, it's just why do some people spell Chris with a K, or why do some people spell Stephen with a PH, not a V? I think that's just what his parents and what it was. I don't think there's anything more than that. He's very much. He's definitely not. I know. I've met his dad, and I do know Zak. I'm not going to say I'm good best mates with him. I've met him a few times, and he's. I tell you what, if you think I live in a mansion, you go and meet Zak Crawley. And I know that John Bowden's in the message. He's listening this morning, and he knows the Crawleys very well. And if you think I live in a mansion, it's a shed compared. I think so.
Actually, on Twitter, I posted Pretty's home. I'm
manifesting away,
That was actually Greg Norman's home, 75.8 million. Has 10 houses on it. I don't know what he's doing with 10 houses. Wasn't one enough? God,
never enough.
If he didn't bottle the Masters to Faldo that year, then he might have had 12 houses, mightn't he? But we won't talk about Australia.
Oh, that's sore point. Now, we haven't heard anything about Tiger.
Wasn't it 8 shots he let go? Wasn't it the biggest golf?
He's
Let-
virtually a billionaire. I don't think he's going to worry about that too much.
People do worry about that. It's a Masters. It's a Masters. It's like it's like India losing a World Cup final. You know, they'll look back and say, "I wish I'd won it." Of course they do.
Or
No,
South
there'll
Africa
be
played
other
for
World
himself.
Cups every 4 years. You get a shot. I mean, life goes on. You know, there's more to life than one event.
So Manu John reckons New Zealand's public don't care very much. They do. That's not true. They care a great deal about cricket, not as much about rugby.
Yeah.
And they're going to include cricket in the Olympics. That's right. There is a format. I think it's T20. I'm not sure. They're playing
They
that
better. I mean, it's shocking that they wouldn't. I mean, this is also a sport that's played in 120 countries. You know, in different clubs.
Do you
Not
realize
World Cup level, but that's incredible. You know.
Do you realise there are
Very
more
global.
countries that women play cricket in than men?
I didn't know that. That's really
Absolutely.
impressive.
Absolutely. There are many countries where women only, well, not only, but predominantly women play cricket. And the so-called 50-over World Cup in 1975, which West Indies won, was that the first ever World Cup of that format? No, it wasn't. Women, I think it was 73 or an earlier year, played the first World Cup prior to men. So it's quite interesting how a lot of those firsts weren't actually what you would expect it to be. Okay, so we've got Rohit Sharma in bat with Rahane. Correct, Rahane's in bat as well. Still got Rishabh Pant.
Yes.
He's still got Washington Sundar. Aksar can do it well. He can't speak English, that's for sure. His press conference was almost
cute, yeah.
Mind you, he threw English. He threw in obvious and words like that. I'm going, oh, where'd that word
So cute. But in India, they do that. You can speak
A
English,
crossover
you know,
between-
Hindi, English mixed. Like I do a lot of Hindi news shows, and I can speak fluently, but I'm so used to being interviewed in English. They'll ask me a question in Hindi, and I will give them an answer in English, but I always throw in some words, and they go crazy when you do that. They really like it.
Is there a lot of swear words as well? Like we had an Indian overseas at our
swear word
club.
on the planet, the word, like the nastiest. So I did. BuzzFeed had contacted me once, and they said, we're doing this piece on swear words around the world. Can you do one for India? You know, so I was on this BuzzFeed video, which got millions of views, and luckily they didn't credit. I think maybe I'm in the credits somewhere, but you know, that is not a video I want to be a part of, even though it had massive views. But it was like swear words in another country, and the Indian one was actually everybody was commenting, and I think it was the first clip as well. So
just quickly on the Narendra Modi naming of the stadium, I'm going to make this very clear. It doesn't matter at all. Okay, it's called that, fine. He's the leader of the country. He's named it, fine. It's not. Most people will call it by other terms anyway. They'll still call it Motera. They'll still call it Son of Patel. They'll call it. It doesn't really matter, and I haven't got a problem with that at all. We shouldn't take it that seriously. It shouldn't be dividing anyone. You know, you can call it what you like.
Like I mentioned earlier, I think 99% of people are completely for it. It's just those few sour people that want to be divisive, and also they probably wish they had a stadium named after them. It's always those types, you know. And you can see a few former players coming out.
Well, nobody cares. I mean, look, I'll give you an example. Adelaide Oval, right, which has predominantly been a cricket ground its entire existence, did a deal with the AFL, the Australian Football League, right? And they got one stand which has 5 names on it, Wanganeen and this name and that name, people I don't care for. That really annoyed me because they had, I don't think they even played there, or they may have played one game. I've never heard of them. That was a joke. I hated that. Okay, I think it's 1 pence. Chris's favourite.
You're asking about you're preppy talking about where I live. Everyone thinks I now have vineyards, and they're asking how much a bottle of Chateau Vernon red wine costs.
Well, that's where you actually stomp on it. You got bare feet and you stomp on it, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. You've got to get out. You've got to do it properly. It's got to be authentic.
Well, the reality is there is a winery in Adelaide called Norman's Wines, and I love that wine.
I'm sure.
Okay, we've digressed a lot today. We've got 15 minutes to go.
Can I give you my analysis, I guess, on the match?
No. You got to say your 2 bobs worth.
My 2 bobs worth. So I have been thinking about this game a lot, actually, and I want to take a nuanced, sober look at it. Because that's always healthy, so you won't be disappointed if things don't go your way. I'm gonna take a bit of a devil's advocate sort of approach here. There's 2 scenarios. One is Rohit is he's on a roll. He's gonna make his 100, and if they get over 250. Actually, if they get 250, they're home. They won. If we can all go home, it's done. Now, the other scenario, which is also, by the way, this is a 50-50 chance. This can also happen. I know we mentioned that they might not be the middle order collapse, but it has happened many times with this Indian team, or just teams in general, and with the pitch and the pressure and all of that. What if that does happen? Then it's even keel, and both teams have a shot, and it could end in a draw. England could somehow come out on top. That would be a very dramatic end to this test, which seems like it's going one way, but it might really go off in another direction. It would be interesting. So I don't think India has it in the bag yet. I'd like to say that it does, but I want to be sober about this, and we'll find out in a few hours. I think the first morning session, I think we'll know. If they lose a lot of wickets, it's going to. I think we know the story, and if they make a ton of runs or they do very well with no loss of wickets, then I think we know the direction that the game is going toward.
So in Adelaide, it was the 3rd day, the 3rd morning, where India were all out for 36. It was the 3rd day, and no one predicted that because India won every single session leading up to that session. They won every session virtually. And that session just blew us all away. And then we were getting ready within half an hour of, Joe Burns hitting a 6 and hitting 50, which I jokingly talked about him being a future star, which of course didn't happen.
Jokingly.
Yes, it was quite funny actually. I did that on ABP News, and it went over really well. I was joking about it. Look, the reality is we don't know. A really bad session could turn this around.
Yes.
James Anderson's the one that can do that. Or if Jofra Archer actually bowls at full pelt, that's the only hope of that. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Leach won't do it, I don't think, but it'll take a fast bowling effort. But it probably will happen in the twilight, which means into the 2nd session of the day, which is going to be after India have scored a few runs. So it's probably going to have to happen pretty quickly. Although, interestingly enough, that 36 all out happened in broad daylight, sunny weather.
Yeah, but that's a different pitch, I guess. And I think here India is they have an advantage. They put themselves in a good place. I think the Australian one wasn't it equal up until that 3rd day?
Yeah.
This is a little bit like they have such a good shot here, but it could all go topsy-turvy. That's what I'm saying.
Now, India won every session, so India are in ascendancy. I remember using those words. India are in ascendancy, and then suddenly they were squashed. I'm noticing that our so-called fans or listeners or viewers are now talking to each other in abbreviations. Like
I would know what they mean, I think, but I'm not reading the comments because I know what these abbreviations means. A lot of slang, trust me.
I think Norman means like they're calling each other nickname,
that's what I mean.
Shortened terms of each other, like JDP Bowden. JDP Bowden sounds like an awful.
You know what you guys should actually do? You guys riding on the side there from MH right through. Start your own little club on the side is what you should do, and invite us in, and we'll come and join you. All right, so I'm concerned only about the length of this test match. I truly think tomorrow morning will be the last morning we'll be talking about a day's play. I can't imagine having any other way. Even if one side does better than the other today, it's unlikely. India won't be batting for 3 days. That won't physically happen because it won't be possible. The pitch won't allow them to do that. We've seen enough evidence of wickets falling. So
I think it will be the 4th morning.
I'm still sticking to the 3rd day.
The night of the 3rd.
So England win on the 4th morning is what Pretty thinks.
actually, the longer it goes, it's advantage England. Actually, shorter match it is. It's India's one. So I think we'll find out midway today which way it's
Yeah.
going to be.
The only chance England have got is keeping India to under 250, under 220.
I think if they go cheaply, this is not going to be about spectacular bowling or anything like that. It's if they take their mind off the goal, which people have a tendency to do. They go cheaply, they run outs and stupid things like that. Because it's such it's a big game. There's a lot of pressure. Suddenly, it's like, what happened? You've squandered everything.
India won't want to bat last. Historically in Test cricket, anywhere in the world, sides don't chase massive scores batting last. If England can somehow set 150, I think that it makes it a really interesting game because that pitch will deteriorate and get worse. I disagree with Norman. I think that Jack Leach will be England's biggest wicket taker. I think that this sort of wicket actually suits him more than Chennai, just because he isn't consistently a massive spinner of the ball. So he's going to get more wickets, similar to Axar did yesterday, where the ball skids on and brings LBW into play. So I think that he'll bowl better on these sorts of wickets, where he can get the straight on will take as many wickets as the big spinner.
Hang on. Are you saying? What are you saying that India are going to have? India are going to be all out by what, lunchtime now?
No, I'm not saying that.
I just think he's independently saying that Leach will perform well.
England,
Leach will get 4 wickets for 300 or something. No, 4 for 100. Right?
I think India will be all out by.
It's going to be a small, not a big run.
All right.
India will be all out by tea, I would imagine, and then just see what England can do. They might come out really positive second innings. They might see it as let's just see what we can do. We've tried the other way. I don't think the pitch is easy enough to bat on for India to bat the whole day with 7 wickets left. There's quite a bit of inexperience in that middle order. If we can break this wicket, Pant is obviously up and coming. He's only played 20 tests, and then you've got Sundar, Patel. There's potential to get into the. You might find that on this wicket you could take a couple of quick ones. So, I'm ever the optimist, but it's going to be very hard for England to force a result. But the only chance they've got is they have to keep them under 220 and try and set 150 in the last innings. But there's a lot of pride in the England side, as there is in the Indian side. Neither side would.
So I need to break down what you're saying. You're running away there a bit. So you're saying that, let's just say India are all out for 220.
Yeah.
That gives India a 100+ lead.
Yeah.
And then what are you saying that England will set them 150, which means that India
they're still behind though.
I'm saying if England can get 250 second innings, which isn't a ridiculous score, I think that is
how
potentially
many get the first?
possible.
How many get the
that's
first?
I know, and that pitch is.
Yeah. I'm just saying if that's all I'm saying is that it's not like saying can they get 600.
You didn't answer my question. How many runs did England get in the first innings?
Yeah, but what I said was I don't think that England will. I'm saying
a number. I don't want an essay. I don't want I want a number. How many runs did India get in the first innings?
112.
You know how many they got in the first innings, but that's like saying India only got 36 at Adelaide. They weren't going to get 200 at the Gabba. So
yeah, they won the whole series.
They've got no hope in hell of getting more than 112 in the second innings.
I agree with you. I don't think that England will win. I'm saying their aim will be to try and concede a 100-run lead and then try and set 150 in the last innings. That's what their team talk will be. I don't think that they will do that, but that's what their plan will be. And I think that
I think the 150 in the second innings is going to be tougher at that point.
That won't get chased very often in India in general.
Yeah. But like I said, be open and don't be. You can't. Nobody has it yet, or else you'll just get disappointed because it just seems like this is an action-packed stadium and a game, and I love it. I think it can get very dramatic, and you want that. So anything can happen. I mean, I don't know if you guys are into astrology or intuitives, but there's a lot of astrologers and psychics who have apparently done the reading for this game, and they claim, they've all predicted either a draw or an England win. You might be surprised to know.
I've got my
So
crystal.
do they
My
know
crystal ball.
something that we don't
There's
know?
only one way that there's a draw in this Test match, and that's if it pours if it rains for 4 days. The
Which
game's
it
too
won't.
advanced
Excuse me.
now.
I need 2 seconds silence.
There's no way that
In the first innings, first game, I said did not predict something.
England could be playing
You're
against
very
New
good,
Zealand
Norman.
England could be playing New Zealand in
I'm
a
hearing
Test match
something.
series,
The
and
gods
Norman
are
would
talking. The
predict
gods are
India
Your
talking.
win.
crystal
They've
ball.
just said that India will get 275 and England will get 94 in the second innings.
Well,
There we
okay,
are.
let's see. Those are very specific numbers and very striking numbers.
Chris, write that down. 275 England will get.
I'm sure you won't forget.
England, sorry, India will get.
275 is very excessive for. I don't know. You never know.
India
I mean,
will get 275.
Rohit was on a roll. The way that he was taking charge, so but he has to
What the
continue.
hell? I predict England will not get more than 94 in the second innings.
Wow,
That's my prediction.
that would be a shocker, though. Not good.
Well, 112 was not exactly impressive, was it?
No, it's not. 94 is worse.
They won. They won the toss, and they got 112. Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
Very
When
good bowling.
was the last time a team scored 112 in the first innings and won the match? Can you tell me that stat, Chris?
Well, records are there to be broken. When was the last time that a side chased 390 at the Gabby? These things don't happen.
When was the last time someone scored 112 and won the match?
No idea. I'm sure it has happened. But records are there to be broken. I don't think that they'll be broken this time, but records are there to be broken.
Actually,
and stranger things happen.
Actually, I was looking at. I've got my encyclopedia. In 1833, Sevenoaks Vine were defeated by Sevenoaks Vine B, and that was where in the last.
It was your old reincarnation, Chris. You were there in that game.
Possibly. I wouldn't have to put up with Norman back then, thankfully. He'd be locked up in Australia somewhere.
What, for stealing a loaf of bread or something? Probably. Well, there's no fear that I would have been banished from England having stolen some food.
You're right. You should be banished now as well. That's for sure.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Chris, want to show that Normie right now? No,
here you go, Norman. Just to prove your point, the last time the side were bowled out for 112 or less was Headingley 2019. England got bowled out for 67 and won the Test match thanks to Mr. Ben Stokes. So luckily, your cricket intuition shows that it happened ages ago. So yeah,
that was in England, though. There's a difference.
Yeah, better.
So that was the game. Ben Stokes played out of his skin.
Yeah, and England have got players that can do that.
That's that famous, the famous Test match.
Yeah, it's not likely to happen, but these things do happen. And
they do
if
happen.
cricket showed us one thing in the last 6 months is that odd things can happen. You know, with
all right, I'm aware of time. It's now 2 minutes.
I mean, to be honest, when we did that pre-game, I was getting very, very nervous. I thought that India had got their lineup completely, the bowling lineup wrong. I thought England got it right. And, Zach was playing beautifully. And I just thought, oh, here we go again. I don't even want to watch this. And then before I know it, tumble. I mean, I did not expect that. I think anybody who claims that they thought that that's the way the game was going to go, they are lying. I think it's a shocker that, I don't think any analyst could have got that.
If you take Zach Crawley's score out of that 112, it only leaves 59, so the team would have done very well. Okay, all right, we're going to have to conclude now. Predictions for the day. I've said India 275 and England will out for 94. Finish tomorrow. Pretty?
Today, what are they at now? 100?
3 for 100? No, 99.
Like about 100. Yeah, that's pretty good. 230?
Okay, and England? They're going to be batting today?
They would start, I guess, 2 for 30.
That's a pretty good result for them. 2 for 30.
That's a slow day, though. That means only 150 runs in the day.
That's her prediction, Chris, so don't touch it.
No, I hope you're right. I think England will be delighted if you'd offer that now. I think India will be two. I agree with Preeti. I think 220
between 230
all out.
and 250 maybe.
Yeah, I think 220 all out India, and
that's
England
a
will
good
be.
score. That's not a. I think India will be in trouble if they get less than 200. You know, 220
No,
plus. That's decent. That's very.
I don't know about
That's safe
don't know
for
about in
them.
trouble, but I mean, okay.
Look,
So
they could
220.
do very well. They could. I mean, if Sharma and Pant are on a roll, I mean, they could do 250 plus. I don't know what this pitch is going to do today. It could be very favorable to their
Okay,
style
so
of playing. And I mean, we've seen
220.
a lot of boundaries happen in the
I'm only concerned about time,
morning
guys.
session on
We're
the first
encroaching. It's
day.
actually starting. So Chris 220, Pretty 230. I said 275. I said 94 all that. You said 2 for 30, Pretty. What are you saying into the day, Chris?
I think England will be 100 for 4.
At the end of today, that's a lot of play.
It's only 250 in the day, and India will score quickly when they do score their runs. You know, Pant's not going to block it about.
Right,
so I think
well,
the game will be hopefully progressed.
4 for 100. Okay. All right. 2 for 30 for Pretty. And I said 94 all that, whenever that'll be, probably the third day. Okay, guys. Thanks again. We're going to see each other at 3:30 my time, which is 4:30 your time.
I may not be up tomorrow. I was up today because we had cleaners and I had to get up early. But we do have carpet cleaners coming tomorrow. But I don't know if they'll come this early. So if I'm up, I'll join you.
And I need a wake-up call, Chris. Too.
You can set your alarm, Norman. I'm not paid enough to give you a wake-up call.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks again for your great time here. We've gone just on an hour.
Great. We had a great conversation. I hope the audience liked it.
But listen, Pretty, you and I will talk about the West Indies. Do you want to do it tomorrow?
Possibly. I'll let you know. I have a few things, but yeah, possibly, yeah.
I'll talk about my West Indies experience covering places like Antigua, St. Lucia, and Barbados. It was quite phenomenal. And Florida as well. All right. So, guys, all the best. This is Norman Kochnick here for Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. Namaste.
Namaste.
Auf Wiedersehen. Okay.
Gesundheit. Farewell.
Gesundheit. You don't say Gesundheit, say goodbye.
No, that's like bless you.
Sneeze. Gesundheit. No. You could say something like the Brazilians say até logo, for example. All right. So
I thought Gesundheit was goodbye.
Yeah. What? Gesundheit's not goodbye. What did he told you that?
That's bless you.
Okay, bless you. Exactly.
Good health means good health. Like thank you.
Yeah, but what you don't say that. You don't say good health.
It's specifically bless you when you sneeze. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's only related to sneezing. You don't say Gesundheit.
What the hell?
Okay, so view, like, and share the post. Say Gesundheit as much as you like. And
I think
I want you to subscribe and make comments, as you all do. We'll start with your fan club. All right, so guys, we're going to see each other very soon. On to the game. Auf Wiedersehen.
Gesundheit.
Not Gesundheit. All right.
Ciao.